Right, all you music makers, video game players, and entertainers from all around the world. Welcome to the 548th edition of Music Village. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, bringing you the best for the North, South, East, and West that the world of music and games has to offer. And seeing the fact that we've hit the first Friday of this brand new year, we might as well waste no time to explain to you guys what's going to happen on this very special 2025 kickoff edition of Music Village. And speaking of kickoffs, folks, we explained to you fans at home what we got prepared for this year's Year of the Fist for a very special edition of the Music Village update. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, this year we may need to wear kick pads for this one. All right? Next up on the plate, we go ahead and check out some cool games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam machine alike for another edition of a Friday night Greenlight. And speaking of the color green, we also go into a very special polygon katana-wielding BOW fighting edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, the sword used during that story may have been featured during the Nite show. Right? Also, besides that, we go ahead and check out what you independent artists got planned for this weekend for another edition of the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local content information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before the evening traffic rolls in, we wrap up this show with yet another edition of the Up to Speed News, which is me giving you guys news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. Guess with that said, I might as well tell Carl and the Maestro to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and most importantly, take off that Mr. Miyagi headband. It's not time for combat just yet, because it's time for us to bring some fun and delight on your first Friday afternoon/night of the year. Only here, right here, on Music Village. So let's get this show started, folks. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And according to Carl and the Maestro, immediately asking me why are we starting so late, well, you can thank traffic and a couple of mishaps that happened while we were at work. But either way you look at it, folks, a couple of happy missteps that would start off this year. Yeah, mishaps. Or mishaps. Oh, first ballpark error of the year. Nice. And speaking of first, folks, and Happy New Year to all those out there, I think it's time for us to kick off this show with yet another edition of the Music Village Update. And speaking of kicking things off, folks, we're in January, first month of the new year. And kicking things off is what we do around here for the new year, or should we say punch, hook, uppercut, or even a tiger knee to the new year as well too, because for the first month of this year we kick things off with the Year of the Fist. Now, for those out there wondering what does the Year of the Fist mean in round 11 edition, according to Carl and the Maestro, it means several things. First off, it means that every single video game story that will kick off this year will be a fight. Whatever sort of fight we can bring to a video game story, it'll be here. And for the as seen on TV, fighting shows as well too, and plenty of them from all around the world, according to Colin the Maestro, and that's news to me. I thought we were staying local with this one. And no, he's just doing the whole circle thing over in the corner, so yeah, all around the world. And alongside with that, folks, this weekend, we will be celebrating the very special New Game Plus Alpha Edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. 9-year anniversary for that show this weekend, too. Nice. They get old so fast. And in 2 weeks' time, folks, we will also be celebrating the 550th episode of Music Village. And we will try to answer your questions a part of that show, too, for the Music Village mailbag. And to go a little bit further, 1 week later after that, we will be celebrating the 11th anniversary of Music Village Radio and more or less for Music Village for episode 551. And apparently, according to Colin the Maestro, 550 will have a special video game story, and 551 will have something special attached to it as well, too. All right? Nice. And along the way, folks, we will finally be giving you guys and gals out there the nominees for this year's 11th annual 2025 Indy Awards. And yes, we know we're late on the giddy-up, but at the same time, it's been a busy year. Well, last year, and this year is going to be just as busy, so trust me, the nominees will be rolling in as of this upcoming week. And I guess with everybody in the nim of all of the things we've got prepared for this hard fighting, hard kicking, punching, and every single blow you can throw in this year that you can, we recommend you grab a mouthpiece, you grab a head guard, get some kick pads, some gloves if you can find them, and get ready for a fight to kick off your year right, or left, or uppercut, or even with a tiger knee. Yeah, I'm gonna use that all month, Colin the Maestro. I don't care what you say. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with more Music Village right after this. So don't wear your horns out in traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And before we forget, and Colin the Maestro told me during the break, we will be mentioning a very special Jean-Claude Van Damme film to celebrate the New Game Plus Alpha of the Indy Radio Arcade. And apparently it's based off of a fighting game is the only hint they're giving me, and told me not to open up the envelope until the show. All right? But besides leaving me in suspense for a very cool Van Damme flick, I think it's time for us to check out some games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam Machine alike to kick off this year with another edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. And the first game that we have up comes from none other than the itch.io page of Signature with their said game of Hey Kids, This is Advertising. And this game automatically reminds me of a segment that would be featured a part of the Steve Brule show, a part of the Brule's Rules that he would usually have, a part of the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. And Colin the Maestro said, why didn't you just say Dr. Steve Brule? Well, I always thought it was called Brule's Rules. And apparently it was originally called For Your Health. Well, whatever name of the show it is, here's hoping in the near future you get a chance to interact with the advertisements that you get a chance to be a part of. And apparently, according to Colin the Maestro, maybe. And the next game that we have up that I got a feeling will feature no ads whatsoever comes from the itch.io page of Stalker Studios. So that's great. With their said game of Welcome Home. And this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say, Midsummer. Yep, definitely reminds me of that. And here's hoping in the near future that the creepy things that happen in that movie doesn't happen here, and Carl and the Maestro already showed me a picture of that weird symbol they made out of wood. Yeah, I got a bad feeling about this. So here's hoping in the near future that, well, I guess it's unavoidable. So here's hoping they like you. That's the only thing I hope for, because if they don't, well, if you didn't see the film, let's just say it does not end well for you. At all. At all. Yeesh. But besides trying to make me remember a horrifying film with a whole bunch of happy people wearing a whole bunch of clean white clothes, the next game that we have up comes from none other than Kurso Darkan or Kurso Dakan. Apparently, according to Colin, I sure will go with the second one with their said game of Gut Loaded. And this game automatically reminds me of, I guess, The Crooked Man. Yeah, definitely reminds me of that. And here's hoping in the near future for this said game that you could avoid the creepy creature trying to kill you while you're trying to enjoy a slice of pizza. Maybe use the plate as a weapon of some sort so you can go away. Or offer it a slice. Maybe it likes pizza, I don't know. According to Colin and my show, no, it does not like pizza. Well, you didn't see what type of pizza it was. It might have been pizza with pepperoni on it. It might not be a fan of pepperoni. You might need to get a deep dish. And Colin the Michael said, why are you trying to reason with a monster? Well, if I can't do anything else to hurt it, I might as well try to get it to enjoy a slice of pizza instead of a slice out of my neck. Well, either way you look at it, folks, next game that we have up, besides trying to reason with a Markland beast with a slice of pizza, comes from none other than the developers Games Incubator with their said game of Chocolate Factory Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of, well, Willy Wonka. Yep, definitely reminds me of Willy Wonka. And here's hoping in the near future for this said game that you can create whatever sort of chocolate or candy that you get a chance to create for your customers. And here's hoping also with the money you get for it that you can make a bigger factory and, you know, upgrade a couple of the machines so you can really get that sweet candy you're looking for. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, they said, sure, but at the same time, are you hoping to get some form of assistant to help you out? No, I'm not looking for an Oompa Loompa, Carl and the Maestro, not in the least bit. Because I got a feeling with them mixing the chocolate and one of them accidentally dropping in, then we're going to have an issue. But besides me trying to avoid a Willy Wonka-like fate with 8 kids and a whole bunch of lawsuits, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Strategy Labs with their said games of Builders of Egypt. And this game automatically reminds me of a what-if scenario if Civilization and SimCity had a child to make this game. And it's only based in the world of Egypt. So here's hoping in the near future for this said game that not only you get a chance to have help to build the pyramids and other cool things, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to also build one of them ancient tombs to keep someone alive in. And according to Carl and the Maestro, you're talking about one of those giant sarcophagus? Yeah, something like that. Whatever. But besides trying to make a giant oversized sarcophagus for some giant oversized pharaoh that may exist in this town, the next game that we have up comes from the developers James Thoman with their said game of Cruel. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of Max Payne with a little hit of Doom in there as well too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this said game, they give you a chance to upgrade your weapons to take out whatever in the world is that guard in the stairs with a chainsaw. Cause I got a feeling you're gonna need it. And according to Call of the Maestro, are you going to hope for a shotgun? Nope, we're covered. Look at page 6. Right there, shotgun with a chainsaw combination. So here's hoping for a chance for you to get a pump action to go along with that double barrel, because in video games, you can never go wrong with shotguns. Trust me. And the last but not least game that we have up to kick off this year in the right direction comes from the developers December Blues Games. Nice developer name, by the way, with their set game of The Mute House. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Rule of Rose, but a little hint of Silent Hill in there as well, too. And the reason why I say that Call of the Maestro is because she has that weird looking flashlight on her chest, and when she peered around the corner, I could have sworn I heard some form of creepy animal calling out to her. And apparently, according to Call of the Maestro, you might not be off about that because she's searching for her missing sister. Of course she is. In a giant oversized mansion with Marklin bees? Of course she is. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this game that you have some form of thing to defend yourself with in it. Because I got a feeling if you don't and you go inside this giant house with Marklin bees, there's a high possibility of you getting snatched up by whatever is in that house. And Call of the Maestro said the only thing they saw was some giant oversized guy that looked like it was hugging you. Well, that giant oversized guy was giving her a bear hug and breaking her spinal cord. I don't think that was a hug. I don't think that was a hug at all. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming through a planet far away from here, yet close enough to be beaming into your homes in less than 24 hours, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Free Game Planet page of one man only known as freegameplanet.com and click ever so lightly on that games button to check out a whole bunch of horrifying, creepy, awesome, and terrifying games that are just out of this world. You also want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming across the Steam machine via the cargo ship, cargo plane, or even subterranean train that is currently rumbling beneath your toes. Then you can go ahead and head on over to the store.steam power page of one man only known as store.steampower.com and click ever so lightly on that upcoming button while counting down to that Indy button to check out some cool games in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they let loose confetti and said Happy New Year, so I guess it would be a Happy New Year if you get those games. So go get them. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into the music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with yet another new DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories right after this. So don't get lost in evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you video gamers, welcome to yet another Cyberwire BOW Sword Fighting Edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Story. And with a title like that, we decided to go with the game none other than Resident Evil Revelation 2, the Cyber Chronicles. Yeah, like the sound of that. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to make sure our sword is sharpened so we can cut a couple of zombies in twain as we get ready to paint the picture. right? This video game story takes place approximately 5 months ago when I decided to finally head back into this game after unlocking the wireframe that would be featured for it. Now, for those who are a little bit confused, and even though Carl and Maestro said we jumped the gun a bit, we were finally able to earn well over 90 medals, which gave us the final character unlock for the game, which would be none other than the character known as Cypher, which would be the wireframe that for anybody who ever played raid mode would finally wake up out of the chair. That's Cypher. Didn't know it had a name, but I did know that it was possibly one of the strongest characters in it. And one of the reasons why it was so strong, folks, is because when it first starts off, it would start with a katana sword. And that would be the coolest feature alone that made me say, I gotta play as this character. So when Alex decided to do a couple of his daily missions, I would join alongside with him with Cypher, thinking that right out the box, this character was gonna be absolutely dangerous. Because unlike all of the other characters, this one didn't even have a weapon to start off with. It just started off with that katana. So I assumed, yeah, this thing's gonna beat the daylights out of those BOWs in that subway tunnel. Boy, was I wrong. Because as Alex was making his way through with a character that was just as low as mine for the daily challenges, but for some strange reason was still at level 14, every time I would try to cut those creatures up, no dice. Every single time it would be well over under a 1 hit, or at least a hit for 100 for a critical strike. That did nothing to those BOWs, and the hunters that were there, one of the BOWs, would slash me once and instantly kill me for me to go, yeah, and instantly die. And that would happen for about, I do believe, 15 times in a row for me to finally wave the white flag of surrender, despite Alex finally clearing the challenge by himself, for me to earn a goose egg amount of points. And since that one embarrassing moment, I would decide to say, I'm going in the lab with this character. I'm gonna get Cypher up to a level where that katana sword is about as dangerous as Samurai Jack's sword back in the classic series. And as I was making my way through every single daily challenge I would go through to get as much experience as possible to raise his level up enough for that sword to be a challenge, I would notice that the one thing I had to raise higher than anything else was the ability of the sword itself, causing it to do well over 300% of the damage it needed to do, plus the chance for me to finally have a weapon in hand. And the weapon I would pick? None other than a Hydra shotgun to truly take it to each one of those zombies that was in the level. That and to get some much needed revenge just in case I'm not able to attack him at close range. And the first level I would be able to use this said new skill with the said shotgun would be the level where you had to go into the subway tunnel around part 5. And as I made my way down there, surrounded by a whole bunch of not only those weird people that were featured on the island, but also hunters aplenty, one of the hunters would try to reach out and claw me for me to attack him mid-air with the shotgun, take out another one of the guys with the katana sword, and even stab him in the back with said katana sword, reminding me of a cool movie for me to think that that Cyberwire character was Blade underneath that mask. But at the same time, after taking all of them out and reaching the inside of the subway train, I would realize that I would have to fight those invisible creatures with those death counters over their heads. But it would be no problem for Cypher, as I would be able to slice my way, or guess slice my way according to Carl and Maestro, just swinging at the wind at whatever was close, to actually be able to drop it, punch it in the face, stab it in the back, hit the medallion, and clear the level for Cypher by the end of it all, to finally be at a respectable level of level 40. And granted, when I started that level, I was at least at 36, so I was able to jump 4 levels to finally do some damage in a couple of the later levels that was in the game that I had trouble with. And the fact that I was able to clear it out only using a katana and a shotgun, even taking out that big, giant, oversized BOW with the saw hand that was featured in the first Revelation game by cutting it in the stomach at least 6 times and blasting it in the face with a Hydra, gotta say was absolutely satisfying. Crazy and frightening, but satisfying. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for a very special Cyberwire BOW Sword Fighting Edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And yeah, about that video game story, Carl and the Maestro is still waiting for me to accept their challenge for another video game story, trying to take out the final boss in Omega Phase with the katana sword. You mean the final level 100 boss with that said katana sword for the 28 Days of Greatness? I'll give it a swing. Which, hopefully I'm at that level by the time that comes around, but I'll take you to it. Or I'll take you up on your challenge. But besides accepting a challenge like Barney would in an episode of How I Met Your Mother, I think it's time for us to go ahead and check out what you independent artists are up to kick off this year with one of my favorite parts of the show, only known as, you guessed it folks, the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. And we kick things off with Friday, January 3rd. And the first band that we have up, it's Stu Hooten, who's going to be performing at the Simply Greek Restaurant and Bar in Long Branch, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Mike Duranjan Coots is going to be performing at the Caladara Italian Restaurant in Caldwell, New Jersey at 6:30 p.m. Gary Harris is going to be performing at the Redwood Bar and Grill in Chester, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Pam McCoy is going to be performing at Val's Tavern in Rumson, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Extra Rich in Class is going to be performing at the Par 440 Restaurant Lounge in Millburn, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Whiskey Crossing is going to be performing at the Skylands Craft Beer and Wine Garden in Wantage, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Gerald Esposito is going to be performing at the Villa Vittoria Ristorante in Brick, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Jeff Gunther with the Coots is both going to be performing at the Fusion Cafe in Butler, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. Joe Pinto with the Burnt Leftovers, nice band name, is going to be performing at the Sierra or the Circa in Highbridge, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Friday night, you could see Real Rock Drive, Carmen Constantino, and Hurricane Bob Alfonso, who's all going to be performing at the Great Notch Inn in Little Falls, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And on Saturday, January 4th, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. Stu Hooten is going to be performing at the Seabright in Seabright, New Jersey at 12:30 p.m. Kevin McGowan is going to be performing at the Working Dog Winery in Hightstown, New Jersey. At 1 p.m., Paul Maritano is going to be performing at the LBI National Golf Course in Little Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. At 5:30 p.m., Core Notch is going to be performing at the Core Notch live stream acoustic sessions in Woodbridge, New Jersey. At 8 p.m., Stu Hooten is going to be performing at the Portside Bar and Liquors in Middletown, New Jersey. At 8 p.m., Pam McCoy is going to be performing at the Pig and Parrot Sandbar in Brill, New Jersey. At 8 p.m., or 8:30 according to Colin the Maestro. Thanks for the correction. Anyway, next band we've got up is Dave Fields. Is going to be performing at the Great Notch Inn in Little Falls, New Jersey. At 9 p.m., and to finally wrap things up for Saturday night, you can see Mike Garancha with Sharp Edge, who's all going to be performing at the River Grill in Chatham, New Jersey at 9:30 p.m. And on Sunday, January 5th, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. Beady Lens is going to be performing at the Ryland Inn in Reddington Township, New Jersey at 11 a.m. And McCoy is going to be performing at the Driftwood Beach Club Tiki Bar in Seabright, New Jersey at 2:30 p.m. Martin Rivas is going to be performing at the B2 Bistro and Bar in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey at 4 p.m. Stu Hooten is going to be performing at the Burloo's Seafood and Steak in Keyport, New Jersey at 4 p.m. Gus Amador is going to be performing at the Little E's Tavern in Franklinville, New Jersey at 5 p.m. Stu Hooten, well, 2 performances in less than 2 hours, is going to be performing at the Lana in Long Branch, New Jersey at 6 p.m. You can also see, and Colin the Marshall said, drum roll please on this one. Okay, you can see none other than Thomas Fisk, who's going to be performing at the Shrine World Music Venue in New York, New York at 7 p.m. Andrew Blanton is going to be performing at the Pody's Roadhouse in Spicewood, Texas at 7 p.m. Patrick Yandel is going to be performing at the Humphreys Backstage in San Diego, California at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Sunday night, you can see Lee Butler, who's going to be performing at the Fire in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 8 p.m. And on Monday, January 6th, the first one of the year, you can see these following bands performing in a local area live near you. The Chrome Wheels Band and Jewel and the Chrome Wheels Band. It's both going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 3 p.m. And we got it confused there because they wrote them twice on the list and they're both performing at the same place. But besides all that confusion, folks, next up we've got Dr. Hall. Nice band name. Who's going to be performing at the Cowgirl Barbecue in Santa Fe, New Mexico at 4 p.m. You can also see Boz, who's going to be performing at the Tommy Bahamas featuring the Marlin Bar in Estero, Florida at 4 p.m. Sky Covington Live with Denise Edward is both going to be performing at the Aretha's Jazz Cafe in Detroit, Michigan at 6 p.m. Brimsley is going to be performing at the Little Bar Restaurant in Goodland, Florida at 6:30 p.m. Zach Johnson is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 7 p.m. Open Mic Monday is going to be performing at the Mr. Peabody's in Encinitas, California at 8:30 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Monday night and all the bands we're going to mention and kick off this year, you can see the Garage Boys, who's going to be performing at the Fremont Street Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada at 10 p.m. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast, and trust me folks, there were a lot of them, you can head on over to ReverbNation.com to check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast. Trust me folks, while you're over there, check out a couple of cool tunes. They're worth the listen. Like we say at the end of all of these skits, go out there, support your local artists, and see these guys perform live. And trust me, they'll love you for it. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music and continue to listen into these Diamonds in the Rough. Only here, right here, on Music Village. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned. We're back with the show that is finally making its way back to YouTube to kick off the new year, only known as Music Village. And one thing I got a feeling we're not going to be able to mention during the outro, and I thought I was, is that for the new year, folks, that we're finally going to try to make our way back to YouTube, but it'll be a day later than the usual broadcast for Music Village on SoundCloud. And the reason why is because our computer is old and it takes a while to process. And plus, it's going to be one big giant part. So, yeah, there's that too. So, we appreciate your patience and Happy New Year. But besides that exciting news that might get to you a day late, I'm looking at my watch right now. Oh, it's just about that time. It's the witching hour, which means it's time for us to be brought up to speed with news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. And in our first news story, and an exciting news for you fans of public domain, because it's been announced that the year-starting list of public domain that we really don't pay attention to often, but do now due to the movies that comes from it, has been announced. And one of the major things that's been announced a part of public domain, outside of the spooky skeleton dance that I think I saw during an episode of Billy and Mandy once, is now officially a part of public domain. But the big one that's been announced is none other than Popeye the Sailor Man Toot Toot. We don't have the corn pipe that sounds like a train whistle. Leave us alone. But either way you look at it, folks, several people have started to eye up Popeye the Sailor Man since this past November to create a horror movie about it. And the one we've seen thus far that it's really caught our eye was Popeye the Slasher Man that is now going into production. Yeah, I can't make this up, folks. And with the horror universe already starting the team over with Bambi, Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, and so many other people who are in the public domain. It's only a matter of time before what my friend Alex said is gonna come true, that Baloo from the Jungle Book is gonna finally be a part of a horror movie too, singing about the bare necessities while ripping people a new one. Literally. But other than him, folks, you also got not only Tintin making its way to the public domain, as well as some other great things as well too. But seriously, the fact that they've hit public domain after a 95-year stint, and oh, before I forget, we almost forgot to mention that Mickey Mouse once again back on public domain, this time with his signature white gloves. So yeah, if they're gonna make a follow-up to a Disney horror flick and have him with his white gloves, now's the time. I got a feeling it's gonna be a mess, but good luck to all you creators out there who decides to go that route. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out what other sort of crazy, I don't even know how to describe, horror films that will be made from things from public domain, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Consequence page of one man only known as consequence.net to check it out for yourself. And in other news, or more or less drum cover news, for you fans out there who always wanted to hear the drummer from the Police do a cover of Rollin' from Limp Bizkit, well, I have some good news for you. You know, I'm trying to keep a straight face, but the picture of Limp Bizkit with that look on his face of ooh while looking at the guy doing the drums on the side is absolutely hilarious. But the fact that he was able to do a beautiful cover of this song, not only doing a cover of Limp Bizkit Rollin', but also doing 30 Seconds to Mars to Kill, even none other than Tool's Pneumonia, which was pretty cool to see too. But here's hoping in the near future he can do a cover of Vanilla Ice's metal version of Ice Ice Baby Too Cold, because I got a feeling he'll do a good job at it. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool metal version of, or more, not even a metal version, I guess, cover of a classic new metal song from way back when, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Drumeo to check it out for yourself. And in other drumming news, and in news straight from a prodigy, because Nate Bushell would decide to get on the drums and do a perfect shot-for-shot cover of Karen Carpenter's Dancing in the Street. All the way down to singing on the microphone too. You know, with the exception of the background with the sunshine and flowers, but either way you look at it, a very impressive cover nonetheless. Now, here's hoping in the near future we can get a chance to hear her do a drum cover of the classic song of Cars. Yes, Carla the Maestro by Gary Newman. You know, I think I've been getting so many people to try to perform that cover song that one day I might try to do it myself. And Carla the Maestro said, why won't you? Well, we still gotta learn how to really play that on guitar the way Fear Factory could. But don't worry, one day we will. One day we will. But besides an 80s cover song that I hope sees the light of day in the future, folks, if you guys want to go ahead and check out the Karen Carpenter versus Nate Bushell drum solo cover, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one girl only known as Nate Bushell to check it out for yourself. And I guess with that said, folks, you know what time it is. And with all those regular news stories out of the way, we almost screwed up that line to start off the year, but didn't. But Carla the Maestro said, nope, it's time for us to get the autocorrect. Nope, it's not time for that. It's time for us to go get the confetti No, Carl and the Maestro, it's not time for that as well. It's time for us to go into a very special year-starting edition of Video Game News. And that's the best way we can start this year off with a bang, folks. And in our first news story, and in news for you fans out there wondering what sort of PlayStation Plus games is going to kick things off for the Essential list, well, I may have some good and or bad news for you fans at home. Because the 3 games that's going to kick off this year, it's going to be none other than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, and finally, last but not least, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Now, I know, and I've heard it from so many people about how, I guess, not well that Suicide Squad did, to the point that I'm pretty sure within the next 2 weeks that this game is going to be, according to Carl and the Maestro, on the 14th is going to be their final update before they stop updating the game completely. But either way you look at it, I've been wanting to play this game for the longest amount of time. So to finally get this game in my hands for absolutely free and judge it for myself, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Despite a lot of people saying that this game was, not well. I'll just say that much. I'm not gonna say, oh, the game sucks. I'm just gonna say that the game was not for everybody. But the other games, seeing the fact that I had a long history with Need for Speed, thanks to my friend Keaton who used to play it over my brother's house, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that game out. And the Stanley Parable, I heard that game was pretty fun too. So I'm willing to give all of these games a chance just to see what they're about. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out these games for yourselves and see what sort of score they got to judge your own opinion off of it, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as PlayStation Grenade to check it out for yourselves. And as a bit of a heads up, these games will be available as of Tuesday, January 7th of 2025. And in other news, and more or less kill count news. Now I wonder, and I know you're wondering at home, why in the world will we mention the kill count for video game news? Well, the reason why, folks, is because, yep, Dead Meat would decide to go into the video game territory and starting things off with Resident Evil. Now, the fact that they finally decided to enter in the world of video games and would start off big with Resident Evil is absolutely awesome. And the fact that Zoran would be the one behind the Resident Evil kill count and would even dress up like Rebecca Chambers is even better. And for those out there who wants to check out this kill count for video games from Zoran of the said show of Dead Meat, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Dead Meat to check it out for yourselves. Now, here's hoping the next couple of ones is going to be Turok, maybe Silent Hill, and you know what? Shadow Man, if it's possible. Hopefully. And in other video game news and more or less AEW Championship news, because it's been announced, folks, that the said show of AEW games is gonna have something called the Bronami Code, which will feature several people stepping up to the plate to go for the championship, including Ricochet and even none other than Orange Cassidy, the former AEW Games champion, alongside with Ricochet and Jellicoe, amongst others. Nice! Now, the fact that they were able to have a round-robin spin the wheel of what game they're going to play for it, and I saw a couple of games on the list, and one of them being Backyard Wrestling, should make for a great tournament. Can't wait to see it. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out who's going to go home with the gold in the first episode of the Bronami Code, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as AEW Games to check it out for yourself. And in other video game news, and more or less Grand Theft Auto Online starting of the year video game news. For you fans out there who wants a little extra cash for taking out the black box for the Agents of Sabotage file bonus, well, I have some good news for you. Because it's announced that this week there will be bonus cash prizes for the Agents of Sabotage black box file for this week. And alongside with that, for those who decide to be associates and bodyguards to help out with that, well, I have some good news for you. Because it's been announced that if you decide to help out during these missions, you'll get 6 figures. And alongside with that, and according to Carl and the Maestro, for those out there who are able to get in any line of work will receive an additional $100,000 over that said $100,000 they're able to earn. And for those out there who are able to complete any FIB file finale, you will go home with well over $200,000 of cold hard cash. And alongside with that, for you Trapdoor fans out there, it's back! And back with double the prizes! And alongside with that, folks, for the lucky wheel for this week vehicle, we would see none other than the Fitzer Growler. For those who are able to get that off the lucky wheel for this week, you will truly be lucky. But to go along with that said Fitzer, folks, you can also go home with the Classy Mamba if you're able to place in the top 5 for the LS card meet in 3 days in a row. And discounts are as follows to kick off your year. The Savage Helicopter, 40% off. The Bravado Half Chuck, 30% off. The Grotti Itali GTO, 30% off. The Overflood Zeno, 30% off. And all apartment properties to kick off your year, 30% off. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool deals that are still making their way down the tubes from the world of Rockstar, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, under the Newswire section to check out all those cool deals for yourselves. I guess with that said, for this week, and to kick off your year of the fist or snake, depending on which one you celebrate, you have all officially been brought up. And hold on, folks. I gotta see if I can still get in the groove of 2025. One sec. All right, got the rhythm. Still got it. Still got it. In a quarter of a century, still got the rhythm. All right, that's enough of that because you've been brought up to speed. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Music Village for this week, right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seeing the fact that the even flow of traffic is starting to flow around here and the streetlights are on bright, we might as well take a cue and follow the traffic on out of here as we bring Music Village for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, If you miss any of this show that we were able to give you, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Tumblr, as well as Instagram pages, still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag MusicVillage548. And Carl and the Maestro said we were looking at our watch, and yeah, it's way past 5:48. I get it. You know, one day we'll have a show before then, but it might be by next year. And if you guys want to figure out all the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this year of the fist, like a possibility of us having an afternoon show thanks to no afternoon traffic, then you can go ahead and head on over to our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as TWA 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, you the fans out there, for listening in to a very special Round 3 year starting of the 5th edition of Music Village. And if you guys and gals out there like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like Sagat from Street Fighter, and Carl and the Maestro, and even the PR department dressed up like Bison, E. Honda, and Guile is all rolling their eyes over in the corner. Really? Him? Really? Yeah, really him. Yeah, really. But they're still giving me the thumbs up regardless. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, and here's hoping your music gets featured during a fighting game or fighting moment in games in the near future. And why? Because we believe in you guys. That's why. And plus, I got a feeling it'll amp up the fighters during the fight, too, which would really help. And speaking of people's music that'll amp somebody up during a fight, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Tekno AXE, with his said song of Speed Run Acrobatics that was featured during this week's Cyberwire Sword BOW Fighting Edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And also besides him, we would like to thank none other than Carl and the Maestro for their song of Blue Collar Jam Session that was featured during the outro for this week as we speak for this week's edition of Music Village. Like always, guys, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming out of tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for doing all those sweet video game hits and clips we had a chance to mention during this week's show. Like always, guys, keep them coming. Seriously, keep them coming. It's a great way to kick off the year, but I got a feeling you can keep it coming. And why? Because not only we believe in you guys, but also you never know what show might be lurking around the corner next. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. And I guess with everybody thanked, you guys out there, we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, and to kick off this year of the fist, saying, Tiger uppercut. Oh, what, you thought I was gonna say Tiger knee, right? Nah, not this time. Not this year. We're doing uppercuts. But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next week for another free 10-round fighting edition of Music Village. But until then, folks, Happy New Year and good night, everybody.